They bout to look at the shit that I'm on, why don't we get in topic? Crew looking like Pentatonics, locked in, recording in tropics. In the East Bay 3, big Bronzy B, way good, he working on optics. Talk biz while smoking exotics, we lit, never thought about it. Just they bout to look at the shit that I'm on, why don't we get in topics? Sitting way back, all black, I'm talking, feeling like Shaq, I weigh my options. In the East Bay 3, big Bronzy B, way good, he working on optics. Talk biz while smoking exotics, it's saucy all the project, it's saucy.
Yo, what is good? RCR Presents MSD Sports, episode 9. We want to welcome everybody. My name is Sam, aka YBK. We got Mikey over here. We got Camden over here. And let's go. Welcome to MSD Sports. Mikey, introduce yourself. Mikey, introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Michael John. After feeling a little under the weather the last episode, I'm starting to feel better. Coming to you from the 02135, you'll already know.
Yes, sir. What's up? Camden, what's up, my brother?
What's going on? It's your boy Camden Lee, Mr. Club Paradise. I'm here from the 902-050, you know what I'm saying? Do my thing. And I'm with the greatest crew in the game, MSD Sports. Back with another one, episode 9. Can you believe it? We got a crazy one cooking today, and I'm really, really excited. But definitely want to, get the podcast going and get this episode going for real.
Yes, sir. Before we start with the agenda, we just want to say our prayers and condolences to everyone, to all who are affected with this Los Angeles wildfires, guys. We want to really, really pray and really acknowledge all these firefighters working hard to control these fires, and really, really hope and pray that these fires get controlled. And prayers to everyone and the families that are affected with these fires. Definitely a hard time, but definitely pray for them. All right, let's get back to business. We want to get to the agenda. We already know, we told you guys last episode, we're going deep dive, guys, on these NFL wild card playoff matchups, everybody. We have a lot of matchups to talk about. We got these 6 great wild card matchups, everybody. Want to start off with the Chargers and the Texans. They're going to be playing tomorrow, January 11th, 2025, in the NRG Stadium at Houston, 4:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 Pacific Time. And now we're going to talk about these Chargers and these Texans, guys. I mean, Chargers they're the lower seed in this playoffs right now, and everyone's saying they're a favorite right now. Texans been struggling the last 2 games. They're averaging only 14 points. They lost Tank Dell. That's a big blow. And the Chargers flipped it around this season and acquired J.K. Dobbins, and been lighting it up. Guys, talk to me. Let's get it. Like, what do you guys think about this matchup right here?
Guys, I mean, number one, first off, I definitely want to give my little condolences to everybody in the Palisades, living in Los Angeles. I know a lot of people affected. It's been crazy. But with the Chargers playing, I think it's going to give a lot of distraction to a lot of the turmoil that's been going on this week. I'm loving this game. I think for the first time, we have a lower seed really, really as a heavy favorite on a higher seed as the Texans. The Texans are coming in limpy. We all know this. They've been hurt. I think, honestly, C.J. Stroud has not been the same since losing his top wide receivers. And I think there's just been a connection that has been between the two that has just been undeniable. Justin Herbert has been on a roll. And when I tell you, I think, the Harbaugh Bowl kind of put a little fire under the Charger staff to really help, this coach really take it home and really get a playoff win in his first season back. I think this is a big year for this team. I was big on them last year. They under-delivered. I think with this new coach, it's going to be a different one. So I'm definitely excited for this. I'm seeing the Chargers for sure.
It's a good matchup this year. Flashback to last year, obviously, C.J. Stroud comes in the league. Very impressive, poised, calm, leads the Texans to the division title. And not only that, actually led them to a playoff win. They took out the Browns in the wild card round last year. So he would be I can think of Patrick Mahomes, but probably one of the first QBs in a while to win first 2 playoff games in successive years. Definitely the Chargers do have an edge on the defensive side of the ball, like ranking first in the league in points per game allowed. That's where I feel like the strong point comes in. What do you guys think? Do you think that Herbert or Stroud has more pressure? Because I think it's an interesting situation. Herbert he's been around the block, most passing yards over the first 4 or 5 seasons of any quarterback ever, has been to the playoffs once before, but that time they went to the playoffs, they blew a 27-0 lead on the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple years ago. So who do y'all think has more pressure? Because I kind of feel like the pressure's on Stroud here to deliver.
Most definitely.
Wow.
Most definitely. I mean, Sam, what are we thinking?
I feel like it's the other way around though too. Like I mean, like just what you mentioned, Mikey, with the Chargers blowing that lead, 27-point lead. I feel like Justin Herbert as a veteran, a guy who throws yards, I feel like he has more to lose than CJ. CJ is just a rookie, well, sophomore. Um, kind of lit it up last season. This season, well, he did lose his main wide receivers with Stephon Diggs being out and then Tank Dell now being out. A lot of pressure with him now, but I feel like CJ's still growing, and I feel like Justin Herbert's gonna have a more of a loss, kind of more to lose compared to CJ Stroud.
See, that's where I'm just a little confused because I really feel like the Chargers are playing with house money this year. I feel like they're coming in with a new coach, new scheme. They're really transitioning in terms of this offense. They let go of a bunch of key players. Keenan Allen's going to Chicago. We have, a new J.K. Dobbins that is new in terms of we let go of Eckler, who's at Washington. So I think in terms of kind of looking at kind of what I guess the vote, or not the voters, but the fans or the preseason Vegas was looking at the Chargers, I think they definitely over delivered, in my opinion. Landy McConkey, like, are you kidding me? This pick has been, I think, he looks like a top 5 pick. The guy is phenomenal, catches a ton of balls. He's coming in with a ton of momentum. The real question that I have for Mikey is how do you feel about Quincy Johnson and this Chargers defense? Do you really feel like CJ? I think who thought in the beginning, we all thought the Texans were going to be battling the Chiefs, coming out and really seeing this kind of this changing of the guards. How do you feel like he's going to be able to hold up? With this new resurgence of the Chargers defense.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the weapons that CJ Stroud has been equally as limited as like Herbert is working with your number one wide receiver left. You're taking Quentin Johnston, the first or second round wide receiver pick from last year, and Lab McConkey, a mid round draft pick wide receiver this year. And of course, they've been having a good few weeks. Lab McConkey specifically having like over 1,000 yards, I think he hit
Yep.
as a rookie. He reminded me of like an Edelman or a Welker, scrappy white guy over the middle, catch the balls, not like, and Quentin Johnston's that like Mike Williams has kind of taken that role now that Mike Williams ain't in with the Chargers no more. My thing is Tank Dell's gone. Nico Collins been dealing with a hamstring all year. ACL for Stephon Diggs, and we haven't seen a lot of Mixon. To me, I feel like there's a lot of pressure maybe on both sides, but the weapons are limited. The difference for me, I think, in this game is going to come down to the running game, which is interesting because who would have thought that J.K. Dobbins and Joe Mixon might be the offensive cogs to really get the gears going for these teams? But they truly have been, and they deserve respect for. I think Mixon, I did not expect for him to have as successful of a season as he has. And as Mixon goes, the Texans go. So I think when you put too much pressure on CJ Stroud to drop back, if you get a little bit of pressure on him and you can't run the ball, it's going to be a long day for the Texans. But let's look at the Texans this year. Their pressure rate is the second highest in the league. And they got some decent corners too. So Herbert doesn't particularly do well under pressure. The Patriots played them in the playoffs a few years back. Get some pressure on Herbert, and he's going to have a hard time playing. So I think it's really going to come down to running backs in this game.
I totally agree. I feel like when you even look at the numbers this year with Joe Mixon with the Texans, when he does well, the team does well. Maybe you take out that Week 4 game against the Packers where he ran for 115, but if he does well, if you look at the numbers, the team that wins. So I do agree. It's going to be a running heavy game. CJ Stroud has not many not many guns at all that he can rely on. So I feel like Joe Mixon's going to be the impact kind of vital piece with the Texans if they want to get this W against the Chargers.
Listen, these Chargers defense, they better hold up, because if not, it's gonna be a long night for everybody. I tell you that real quick, because you know that boy Joe Mixon can run. One game, guys, you know what I mean? I know we just talked about, one of the AFCs, another AFC game that we got to talk about. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens, Sunday night, Prime Video. Guys, are you kidding me in terms of how big this matchup is? First off, we have a divisional storied rivalry, okay? Both have split the year 1-1, okay? And both have won the home games. Who is the higher seed? The Baltimore Ravens. The biggest thing I think for me is Pittsburgh is not playing great, and they've lost five straight playoff home games. And 5 straight playoff games. Sorry, not home games. But they haven't had a home playoff game in a while. But 5 straight playoff games. So Baltimore has had their trouble. Lamar finally broke his curse last year. What do you think is going to be able to do when Lamar faces these guys one more time at home? Mikey, talk to me. I mean, I'm a little concerned. I mean, because really, at the end of the day, Baltimore's on a 4-game winning streak. Okay, Lamar is 2-4 in playoff career games, 9 touchdowns, 9 turnovers, and what really, that turnover, to touchdown ratio, it really bothers me. And being 1-1, Mikey, I need to hear from you. Like, how do we feel about Lamar? We know he can run all over these boys, but can he get over the hump one more time?
Okay, well, I have an interesting view. I think that this is the year that Lamar has one more shot to kind of prove his worth in the playoff scenario. They definitely should win this game. One team's coming in on a 4-game win streak, right? And one's coming on a 4-game losing streak. Russ was cooking early this year. I felt like he was actually playing well. I think people were questioning why was Justin Fields being benched. And now you have Russ kind of on a skid, and I think we're starting to see, where we think that mistake might have been of switching them out. I think it's going to be a tougher matchup, but it's hard because it's hard with a divisional rivalry always. But the Ravens are the better team, like without a doubt. The Ravens are the better team. I feel like they have a better offensive unit, a better defensive unit. Special teams feels like it's been relegated this whole year with kickoffs being nerfed essentially because I don't want to see no one getting hurt. I think the biggest issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers is kind of similar to the Vikings, which we can get to the Vikings, of course. The Pittsburgh Steelers can move the ball. They just can't score. They can't score touchdowns. So it's not like they have a terrible team. You got Jalen Warren, you got Najee Harris back there. They just can't punch the ball in. So I've seen some people saying, well, listen, if you move the ball down the field, let's get some packages for Justin Fields in the red zone. Maybe some Justin Fields red zone packages, because Justin Fields was effective this year in the red zone when he did play. So it's going to be interesting. I just don't think that they're going to be able to control the clock in the same way that the Baltimore Ravens can. And Baltimore's defense is definitely is going to stymie the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar has one shot. I mean, dude's won 2 MVPs, right?
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard. You highlighted it already. 9 touchdowns total, but also 9 turnovers total in his playoff career. It's underwhelming. Is it because the game slows down? Does it have to do with game planning? Is it pressure? Is it too much expectation? I'm not sure. Maybe you can give me insight what you think, because I don't think I think it's just game planning, and playoff ball is different than regular season ball.
The thing that I've always known, okay, is that Mr. Jackson is the GOAT, okay, in the regular season. He is, in my opinion, maybe the Peyton Manning of our generation. This man is going to win multiple MVPs. He's going to break multiple records. I think he's going to throw for 50 and still rush for 1,000. In a few years, I totally believe that man. The man's not even 30 yet. Okay. The problem is, the playoffs is about players. Okay. Big time moments mean big time plays. Big time plays mean big time players. And the thing that I've always known about Baltimore is that they have not had big time players that have taken over the game. We have Zay Flowers that is out this week with a knee injury. That is a huge blow, in my opinion. I understand Bateman has been going crazy. I understand Mark Andrews also going crazy. I know King Henry has a taste for blood because he's on his way back and returning to the playoffs for the first time in a few years. Very, very happy for him. I know he's going to be ready and pumped up. The problem is, you got two guys in the backfield who can run the ball. Awesome. But how many guys do you have who can catch the ball in front of you? If I only can depend on Andrews, and I can maybe depend on Likely, and I can depend on Bateman to have 3 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown because one of those is a wide open scramble where Lamar's going crazy dancing in the backfield, sure. But again, Zay Flowers had, I think, 8 or 6 catches last game, and he was hurt. So, in my humble opinion, even though you got the king of the East and the king of the North, okay, coming out with Lamar, Mr. Jackson, and King Henry, I think playing the Steelers, who you play in a divisional game for the last 4 years and have so much tape on you with, again, Zay Flowers being out and not dynamic players, I'm expecting a heavy run game from both of those two. I think that's the only way that Lamar's really going to be able to do this because I just don't see it in terms of on the wide receiver end. I don't.
Pittsburgh doesn't have a bad run defense.
No.
I think they played the Eagles this year, and I feel like they didn't get burned by Saquon, if I remember correctly. I think this is what my question is. Is there a possibility that Mike Williams can emerge, or maybe George Pickens can catch a ball that goes in his hands? I don't know if you saw last week's game, all the drops, like the clips of George Pickens drops last week. The dude can run routes and get open. He's explosive. You just gotta see the ball into your hands. The Ravens have been not a great secondary some games this year. They've been some of those games versus the Bengals just getting shredded. And it's not like Russ can't air the ball out. I wouldn't say like I expect it to happen, but is it impossible for this Pittsburgh Steelers pass game to have an effective game?
I mean, here's the thing. I think, like you were saying before, if Tomlin decides to throw Justin in for a couple packages, I think they could have a possibility of winning this game. If Tomlin's like, you know what, guys, listen, we're not going to worry about the numbers. We're not going to worry about the stats. We're going to worry about winning this game. TJ Watt, I just need you to contain, deal with these boys, and we're going to play not a 50-50, but like a 70-30. Justin's on a 3rd and 3. Justin comes in. You get a little option situation. He's within the 40, you know what I mean, to get a field goal. I expect a lot of field goals from Pittsburgh. They won a game with 8 field goals. I think it was 6 or 7, 8 field goals. So they can win hitting field goals and
do you think in this playoff game that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance? I think if they don't score touchdowns, I don't think that they can win. Personally, I don't think that field goals are going to cut it against the Ravens.
They put up 17 last year in the last playoff game last year. Okay, with I think with 2 bum quarterbacks. Okay, I think this year you have 2 dynamic quarterbacks. One who has playoff experience, another one who is a dynamic runner. I think if anybody is going to ruin somebody's day, I think it could be this, in my opinion. Prime time. Especially if Lamar gets snubbed for this MVP vote, I think it would be, a lot of people could say, oh, Lamar's really not a playoff player. I think that would be a crazy narrative to go off in the offseason with Josh Allen coming in, hoping maybe beating this later game that we're going to talk about. And at the end of the day, you know what I mean. Lamar is an afterthought. Again, the Peyton Manning of the playoffs.
Do you think that there's any chance that TJ Watt can have a signature game? Force fumble, 2.5, 3 sacks, maybe catches a little screen or something. You think there's any shot? That's the most likely defensive player of the year.
He's been banged up, Mikey. That's the biggest thing. And that's my issue is that if he wasn't nicked and kind of banged up, I think week 16 he had a little bit of a situation where he's out for a couple plays. And so, and his brother called the game 2 weeks ago. He talked about, okay, TJ's been getting chipped three of them, two of them, one of them, four of them, everybody. So TJ Watt, in my opinion, is probably the defensive player of the year. I think he's one of the greatest players, better than his brother, and his brother was unbelievable. So I do believe that Lamar could have a 4 turnover game, but Russ has a 2 turnover game or 1 turnover game that can decide the ball. And as well as maybe not Russ having an issue with the playoff jitters, you got other guys who really don't have this experience playing against a Baltimore team with a taste for blood now, because they've won before. They know what it feels like. It's not like they've never won before, like it was last year, and they had this monkey on their back. They have a taste for blood. I think if Lamar's going to show the world that he's Mr. Jackson all the time and not just Mr. Jackson in the daytime, I think this is it.
Ravens got an 8.5 point spread for this one. You think
that's too much?
They cover it or no?
I that's way too much. I don't think they cover the spread. I think
it's like a 1 touchdown game.
I think so. I think it's a. I say one of two things, right? You can have a late touchdown game, or you can have a late 2 touchdown game where it was close in the last 2 minutes and then they pick six it, and you got a 13 point or 14 point with that type of game. So if they do cover it, I think a game like that. Russell's down 6. They got the ball. It's 4 minutes to go. He throws a pick. I could see that. I could definitely see that. Pick 6, game's over. And then they're talking about, well, if Russ never threw that pick, maybe da-da-da-da-da-da. I could see that. And then, Mr. Jackson got a show. But I think with the king behind him, I feel pretty confident. That's a big load behind you.
I feel like we haven't said enough about Derrick Henry, as a matter of fact.
You got to,
1,900 yards. Dude almost had 2,000 yards again.
Listen.
He almost had 2,000 yards again.
And if Lamar wasn't running all over the place, he probably could have given a couple to your boy, and he might have got him. Or if he wasn't sitting in the third quarter, which was happening a lot of times throughout the season, he might have been able to do it.
Yeah. So we'll jump back to make our picks since we skipped over the Chargers-Texans games of our pick. We'll come back and say the picks. Quickly, before we move on to the next one, I just wanted to say for the viewers and listeners, right now, at the beginning of the episode, we touched on the fires in Los Angeles. And for the reason why YBK Sam had just hopped out for that discussion about the Steelers and Ravens was because dealing with some, alarms regarding these fires. So YBK has just returned, hopped back in. YBK, can you talk to us? Everything's all good, bro?
Guys, so basically there was an alarm going off. I don't know if you heard, for maybe 20 seconds before I muted. My apartment had a water leak burst on the second floor. So right now, if you go check the lobby, it's flooding right now. Heavy water coming down. And management was telling people, if you live above the second floor, just go back. It's going to be good, but we're going to turn off the water. So right now we just don't have water. And thank God we're safe. So I don't know where you guys were. Where'd you
YBK,
guys? Yes, sir.
We just finished our discussion about the Steelers and Ravens. You want to give us a few bullet points, what you think about this game before we move on? Since we skipped our pick for the Chargers and Texans, we're going to come back at the end of the episode, and we're going to go through all 6 games to deliver our picks.
I like that.
Tell us, what's a few bullet points that you got about the Steelers and Ravens game?
I mean, Steelers, they've been good, but they've not been dominating as a playoff team should go. Ravens don't have Zay Flowers. A lot of baggage to go on to the receiving, but I say the Ravens still have the chance over the Steelers. So I'm going Ravens. Ravens has a little bit of a advantage here in this playoff game. It's gonna be crazy though. Two both in the same division, AFC North. So they've seen each other so many times. They know each other. So it's gonna be a great fight. I feel like with Russell Wilson and George Pickens going at it against the Ravens with Lamar and King Henry.
King Henry. That's one thing. BK, we definitely we're touching a little bit about that before you were gone. I'm with prayers out to the building, everybody in there.
Thank
But
you.
I know you're safe. If you need anything, I'm a couple minutes away. I'll pull up to the crib, give you some water if you need it.
Yes,
Use my
sir.
shop.
I appreciate that.
But
Yeah. Sam, you make a good point about that they don't seem like a playoff team because this is only the third playoff team to enter the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak.
Yes.
So, well, there's one more game in the AFC for the wild card weekend. And of course, I have the Buffalo Bills in my reins. As you know, Josh Allen has been the homie all year. You know that. So we ain't going to talk about the MVP. We'll wait for the MVP votes to come out to discuss that. But the 7-seed Denver Broncos are coming in to Buffalo to play the 2-seed Buffalo Bills. They're playing Sunday at 1 p.m., so they're going to have that early slot. Buffalo's coming in as an 8.5-point favorite on this game.
Wow.
I think this is a good matchup, actually. I think that Bo Nix is somewhat of a prototypical Josh Allen, as a matter of fact. Both mobile quarterbacks. Both teams, I feel like the Bills more so early year and in past years, and Denver definitely this year, are hard-nosed defensive teams that usually have a tough defense. This is going to be, I think, an interesting matchup. We need to see Buffalo. I think we're all expecting Buffalo to come out and play a really strong, dominant game, especially coming playing at home, especially with all of these years in a row of Buffalo winning their first playoff game or making it straight to the divisional round. So I think that this one is, we know which way it should go, but what way do you guys think it will go?
I mean, Bo Nix is that dude. Bo Nix is my boy, and I think it's the tale of the young gunslinger versus the gunslinger. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm just really excited to see Bo play in the playoffs. The real question for me is Bo gonna be able to step up? I do think throughout the entire season he's had great games, he's had great moments, but he's also had terrible games and terrible moments. And the real question is he gonna does the pressure bust the pipes like YBK's unfortunate situation, or does the pressure make a diamond? And in my opinion, Bo Nix could be one of those dudes. Sean Payton is a quarterback whisperer.
Yep.
So, he is going to have a guy who has been in these tough positions before. Again, one of the things that we talked about earlier in this episode that I will again say to Mikey John, brother, big time players make big time plays. Who on the Bills other than Josh Allen is going to make these big time plays? That is the only concern that I really have. Josh Allen is Superman. He is the GOAT. I love him. He probably going to win the MVP. And Mikey has helped me to understand this man and see his greatness, and I am grateful for you, my boy. Shout out to him. However, who for my boy Michael John and YBK? How we feeling?
I feel like the Broncos here this season, they only allowed, 18 points per game this season, third best league wide, but they're 1-7 against teams with a winning record this season. So it's like a flip-flop kind of thing, but I feel like the Bills here have the advantage, but here the Bills in this takeaway is they have to take advantage of the Broncos' mistakes. And for the Broncos is you cannot make turnovers and mistakes here in this playoff matchup. And I feel like that's very vital. But in the textbook, I feel like Superman, Josh Allen, could maybe MVP. I feel like he's been in the playoffs. Like he failed many times. And I feel like this season he kind of proved himself even more of like a formidable quarterback, even more of an elite quarterback. So I feel like the Bills have a little bit of the edge, but we'll see. Like your boy David Bo Nix, this man, he looking good with Sean Payton. So like I said before, the mistakes, you can't get no turnovers here because the Bills are gonna take advantage so fast with that. You already know.
the Bills are like equivalent. This Sam, you'll like this. They're equivalent to a MLB when you pitch by committee, right? You know how now you bring in the bullpen in the playoffs, and it's like
Yep.
one person pitches 1 inning, person pitches 2 innings. Like
Yep.
when you have the bullpen do a game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine. You said, who is he going to go to? Well, they're going to do it by committee. James Cook has been very solid. He also hasn't, as much love as we got for some of these running backs this year. Bijan Robinson had a great year. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, they've all run the ball 300 times. James Cook didn't break 200, if I'm correct. He didn't break 200 carries, meaning if they need to lean on James Cook, they can easily lean on James Cook. Josh Allen can run the ball too. That boy is big and he's tough. Pause. Amari Cooper is the real wide receiver one that I would say, who can be that guy? Amari Cooper. But it doesn't have to be Amari Cooper. They have a good rookie, Keon Coleman. They have two serviceable tight ends, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. They have slot receivers like Khalil Shakir and Mac Hollins who can either run across the middle or slip out on a wheel route and go for a deep fit, can go deep. I don't think it has to be who's going to be the one to make the play. I think more it's, can the Denver Broncos maybe force Josh Allen into foolish mistakes that he was prone for early in his career. Josh Allen used to try to force the ball down the field. Can you score early? Can you get some points on the board and make the Bills feel a little pressure? Maybe like they need to put some points up. I don't foresee it happening. I just think that they have enough offensive weapons. I don't think that, I think they let their number one wide receiver go, which is definitely true. Yep. So it's been a little bit tougher for them. But I think they have many ways, and Josh Allen is comfortable in that system to do his thing. It's really about the turnovers. Can you force a turnover? Patrick Surtain is a bona fide beast. He's a long shot, maybe not that much of a long shot, but could win Defensive Player of the Year. Yep. I'm just not sure if that outweighs having a plethora of options. It just means you could lock down whoever is that number one. So maybe Amari Cooper can't do it, but it's going to be tough. The Buffalo offense is the number 2 ranked offense in the league, but the Denver Broncos is the number 3 ranked defense in the league. Yeah. So it is a good matchup.
It's going to be the best game, I think, of the entire weekend. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And I think, honestly, Josh Allen is going to be, in my opinion, I think this is how the game's going to go. It's going to be close in the first half. Third quarter comes around with that 6-minute mark. Josh Allen puts his cape on, and it's over. Because, like YBK said earlier, he's been in this experience. He knows how to play in the playoffs. He knows how to win. And I think it's his year to defeat Patrick Mahomes. So I'm hoping that he can at least get there. So let's see if your boy Josh Allen can be Superman. Let's see what's up.
The Bills have only lost to 2 teams in the last 4 postseasons, and one of those teams is not in the playoffs, Cincinnati Bengals, and the other team is the Kansas City Chiefs, who the Bills wouldn't see until the championship game, if that happens, because of seeding. So, hey, this is the first Broncos playoff football since they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. That's
crazy.
crazy.
What year was that?
Isn't that 2019?
No, Sam. 2015 was the last time they won.
That was the Peyton Manning one?
Game.
The Peyton Manning?
The first play. Yeah.
That was that long ago? That was like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
2015?
Nuts ain't even dropped yet. God.
Oh, damn.
Right? Isn't that a crazy? So that's why I think it would be foolish for me to pick against the Bills at home with the Broncos, but let's see. I mean, if y'all have some more thoughts, y'all let me know. But otherwise, we can get to those picks. We'll get to those AFC picks after we finish running through these NFC games, because we got a few good games in the NFC.
I'll start it off. We got Sunday, January 12th, 2025, first NFC wildcard game. We got the Green Bay Packers going inside Lincoln Financial Field, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern time, everybody. Eagles got a 4.5 lead here, but I want to talk about Jalen Hurts here. He's been out for like 2 weeks from a concussion protocol, concussion injury, but he is now back. He full practiced first time on December 22nd. But I mean, there's so many things to talk about in the Eagles this year with Saquon 2K. I mean, wide receiver 1-2 dynamic punch. These young defensive rookies coming in, almost, like I feel like everything was clicking here. A little downside for the Eagles here, a little bit towards the end of the season, but yeah, I feel like Eagles are, they got their main quarterback back. But guys, how do you feel about this one? This one's gonna be an electric one, in my opinion.
Listen. Shout out to my boy Nick, you know what I'm saying? One of the biggest Philly fans in the game, you know what I'm saying? He was at the game 255 with your boy. I'll tell you that right now. Shout out to my man. He is looking forward to this game so much, and so am I. Um, Hurts hasn't played in a long time, guys. It's probably been about three games, almost a month, that he's really hasn't really played any real meaningful football. And for me, I'm really concerned about that rust. I feel like the Eagles have, on paper, when you kind of match up offensive line for offensive line, better offensive line. Defensive line for defensive line, better defense. Uh, Wide receivers, maybe the second best 1-2 punch, in my opinion, other than another team that we were talking about who's out of the playoffs. So, and it's the Eagles' game to lose, in my opinion. And really, are we going to see a resurgence of the Jalen Hurts, quarterback that we know and we love? One thing that I will say though is he is 10-0 since he's been playing. Since October, Jalen Hurts is 10-0. He has not lost.
Whoa!
The only time that they did lose when he played a game was when he went out for that concussion game, and Washington won on a fluke game, in my opinion, against them when they were already up. So, realistically, in my opinion, he's about 11-0. So, if he's the Jalen Hurts that can maybe throw for 220, 2 touchdowns, maybe rush for a touchdown and hand it off to Saquon, cool, it's over. I'll see you. I'm gonna take a nap by the third quarter. But if Jordan Love can be Mr. Homewrecker, Mr. Lover Boy, and really do something, that's also a huge option, huge opportunity. One thing that I have a question, especially for Mikey, is who is Jordan gonna throw to? Because they, like you said before with the Bills, they did have a committee throughout the entire year, but guys are getting hurt, guys are coming in and out of the lineup. What are we thinking? Jordan was on my fantasy team. I thought he was going to hold it down for me. He did not. So I have a little bit of bad taste in my mouth. It's just me.
I'm glad you asked because this is something that I think is an issue for the Green Bay Packers. They have serviceable options. Jaden Reed has flashes of greatness. Romeo Dobbs was a pick from a few years back, drafted pretty high. Some games he pops randomly for 3 tutties, and then you don't hear from him for a hot minute. And you have Dontavion Wicks, who's now thrust into the wide receiver 3 position since Christian Watson went down with that injury.
Yep.
So he's not going to play this playoffs. This is what I think. I think that the key for the Green Bay Packers, we love to obsess over quarterbacks. And I think rightfully so. Even with Jordan Love missing a few games this year, Jordan Love was definitely a superior passer to Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. He threw the ball probably about 75 more times than him, but he's got like 3,400 yards, 25 tutties, and 10 intos. So it's not bad. Jalen is taking care of the ball, which is where I think we know that Jalen Hurts is effective when he takes care of the ball. And when they get down into the red zone, you know what Philly does when they get into the red zone. You know what happens. You know when they're in goal line situations, what's going to happen. They're pushing the ball into the end zone. That's without a doubt. I really think that Josh Jacobs is kind of an important factor here. Can Josh Jacobs get going? Can the Packers get the line moving? Because they're dangerous. I said 2 weeks ago, like, Sam, I'm not sure if I really want to see the Packers.
Right, I remember that.
I'm not really sure that I want to see the Packers, a team with a good coach. Matt LaFleur keeps winning no matter what the roster has been since he's come into town, goes to the playoffs. And last year they won some games in the playoffs, played some close games, won a game and played a really close game there against the San Francisco 49ers, the eventual Super Bowl representatives for the NFC. I don't know if the wide receivers can do it because the Eagles, even with young secondary, who we highlighted when we talked about those rookie defensive players,
Yep.
Cooper DeJean, they're a good secondary and they get pressure on the quarterback.
Well,
Are we concerned that Jordan Love left Week 18's game? One, they lost to the Chicago Bears, which is already an embarrassment when the Chicago Bears are coming off of losing 8 games in a row. Are we concerned that he hurt his right elbow, his throwing arm? I mean, that's for me an issue.
Is he fully
I
healthy,
think
or what is he questionable, or what's his status on Jordan Love?
he's playing.
He's playing, but here's the thing,
Okay.
YBK, just to give you a little bit of understanding. He was hurt last year. He
Yeah.
got hurt a little bit at the end of last year. He also got hurt at the beginning of this year with an MCL. And if you look at the
Ooh.
games throughout this entire season, he's been throwing off of his back foot. If you don't have a great pressure on that knee and you can't get a good foot plant a lot of times as quarterbacks, what happens when you know when you have a lower body injury, you then move after and have an upper body injury. Why? Because you're overcompensating. One person who can tell you that, Joe Burrow. He was hurt, he overcompensated, got hurt with the wrist. And you know what I mean? So this is a compound effect of what is happening for Jordan Love. If Jordan Love was healthy, I think the Packers wax the Eagles this year, just because I think he has too many weapons, too many decision makers who he can really throw to, and really they can catch the ball. But this year, coming in limping, Sam, he's just not. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have the juice. I think it's a kind of a reversal of last year, where the Packers were coming in hot. They had a great playoff run, and the Eagles were coming in kind of skidding and came out in the first round over being overwhelmed. I think it's going to be a similar situation where the Packers are coming in skidding. The Eagles are just better on paper and better in general. I think it's over.
I mean, the Eagles also won all 3 of their home games against playoff teams this season, so that's pretty cool. And the Packers have lost 5 of their games against NFC top 3 teams record-wise this season. So stats are kind of leaning towards the Eagles, but like what you said, I mean, if you guys remind you guys on week 1, remember that Brazil game? That was a close game. Eagles winning 34-29, but that first half, Eagles didn't really do much. Luckily, we got that win, slowing down in the second half, and us taking away with that victory. But that was a match. That was a duel, guys. So it's gonna be. I really hope both quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love, are healthy 100%, so we can see like a great game of football. So I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah. I think those big boys, though, are going to be important, those defensive nose tackles for the Eagles, because Josh Jacobs had like 900 yards running between the defensive tackles this year. He ran for 1,300 yards total, which is to say that like they're not running powers and they're not running pitches. He's running up the middle. If they could run up the middle, I'm not gonna lie. Like the line on this game is only 4.5 points for the Eagles.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make it sound like I'm really counting out the Packers. I just think the Eagles should win this game, but might need to sit on this feeling right here. I might need to sit on this feeling while we get through these last couple games before I have to make a decision, y'all.
Jalen being out of concussion protocol makes a big difference, in my opinion.
Yeah. I want to segue into this next matchup, which I actually think is maybe the slept-on matchup of the week. The Washington Commanders going into Tampa Bay to play at Raymond James Stadium, and that will be the 8 p.m. game for Sunday.
Yep.
That's the night game.
The last one
I think
of the day.
I think that this is actually could be a really, really great game. Buccaneers coming in as a 3-point favorite on here. Actually, offensive-wise, this is the game I have circled on my calendar as this could be a really fun one. The last game that we're going to discuss in a second maybe as well. I think the dark horse has been the Buccaneers to me. A really, really solid offensive team. I love what Baker Mayfield's been doing this year. I love that they've been able to keep winning this division even after Brady retired 2 years in a row now. So it's kind of surprising to me. Then opposite that, you have I think the offensive rookie of the year. I'm not sure if y'all necessarily agree. I think that that's the offensive rookie of the year who's coming into town. This can be a really, really, really fun game. Commanders have played hella close games all year. You've seen Jaden Daniels clutch up. We've seen Hail Marys. We've seen touchdown passes with a matter of seconds ticking down on the game. We've seen fourth quarter drives to win the game. But the Bucks are coming in 6 of 7 games won.
Wow.
So I think that this actually is a really, really great game. Just like the last game we discussed, this is a rematch of a week 1 game. The Commanders and the
Oh,
Bucks played each
yeah.
other in week 1.
Another one.
The Bucks won that meeting 37-20. I do think that we're a long ways away from week 1. Jaden Daniels' first game in the NFL to now learning what you've learned over 16 further games. Baker looked hella good in that first matchup, threw for 280, 89 yards, 4 tutties, no interceptions, which is important. So I'll turn it over to y'all. I think that might be one of the more fun games of the week and actually a toss-up, a hard game to pick.
I mean, Baker Mayfield, I think, has really cemented himself as a top 10 quarterback, I think, over the last 2 years. And he's leading more up closer to 1 than he is to 10. In my opinion, Jaden Daniels is going to definitely be Rookie of the Year. I think he's just shown bringing your team to the playoffs. We have one other rookie that's brought his team to the playoffs. But I think having the coaching staff that Jaden has had and still being able to bring them to the playoffs is remarkable. Tampa Bay won that game 37-20, week 1. But again, Mike Evans. We got Chris Godwin. We had Ottoman was healthy. We had a lot of healthier guys. And I do feel, especially after watching the Tampa game last week, their guys are banged up. That defense is holding up, but I think that offense is a little tired. And I think just either teetering over the last couple games, waiting for losers in order for you to get your 3rd seed, I think that made a tremendous difference in the psyche of the Bucks. And can Bucky Irvin really deliver as the number 1 option in terms of a running game on Tampa Bay? I'm uncertain of that, because I think if Washington can stop the run game, force Baker to pass, make him throw some picks, I think it could be a long day for Baker. Doesn't mean he doesn't throw for 200 to 300 yards. Doesn't mean he doesn't have a couple touchdowns if you're a betting man. No, I'm just saying. But yeah, I think Jaden Daniels has just shown throughout the entire year he is the Rookie of the Year, and number 2, he is the best quarterback that has came out of this draft.
I totally agree with that. I mean, you know me. Last episode, I've been going Jaden McDaniels all the way Rookie of the Year this year. But you know me, I'm a big fan of numbers, and I'm a big fan of veteran offense, veteran teams. New quarterback. I mean, this is your first playoffs. I'm sure he's nervous. I'm sure he's excited, but I'm still going with the OG. Honestly, I kind of want the Bucks to win because I want the Eagles to verse the Bucks in the divisional. I want that revenge match because we all know I don't want to talk about last year, but besides all that, I think the Bucks here they have that veteran presence compared to Jaden McDaniels. Oh, Daniels, I'm sorry. I always been saying McDaniels all episode long, but I love Jaden, but I feel like Baker and Mike Evans, and even Mike Evans getting that extra yardage to get his bonus incentive, and just to that team, I feel like chemistry wise too. I'm going with the Bucks here, going a division compared to Commanders.
Can I toss out that I think it's ironic? 2 teams with defensive head coaches. The Washington Commanders head coach is Dan Quinn, right? Defensive coordinator, defensive guy. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach is Todd Bowles, defensive guy. It's hilarious that this is going to be like an offensive shootout. I just find the irony very entertaining. Yeah, I thought that was just an interesting thing that I was just thinking about right now.
Also, the Bucks are out of 7 games, they won 6 out of the 7, so they've been looking good. Especially in their offense output. They looking real good.
Commanders won their last 5.
Oh, wow. So, wow.
Yeah.
All right. we got ourselves a matchup right here.
Yep,
Name
Commanders won their last 5,
Snap.
and they had their bye pretty late this year, so they might be a little bit more well rested, but
Mm,
close games. I feel like they win close games. I feel like when you see the Buccaneers play, they put up points. Or, they had a close game against the Saints last week. They gave us a little scare, looking terrible in the first half, but they did what a playoff team does, like a division winner should, which is put a stamp on a game in the second half.
mm.
So I will say I would love to clock the over. I think the over is what we're looking at, like 50, like
Yeah,
50 points is the
yeah.
over. I'm hitting the over on that for sure. I love that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's great.
That'd be cool.
I'm hitting the over on
That'd be
this
cool to
one,
see.
boys.
Okay.
Hey, do you think that the running backs play anything? Because, like, for me, the main running back for the Commanders is Jaden Daniels. He was their leading rusher, 150 carries for like 900 yards this year. I think Bucky Irvin reminds me a lot of how we mentioned James Cook. Only
Uh,
carried the ball about 200 times, so ended up with about 1,100 yards, but might have a little bit more energy if you need to rely on a 25 carry game.
hmm hmm Yeah, I think the running backs are definitely going to be a huge factor. I mean, can Brian Robinson Jr. really make an impact? That's really what I really feel like. Because again, if Jaden Daniels is your leading running back or leading rusher, what does that mean for your run game? What does that mean for the explosive plays that are going downfield in terms of play action?
right.
What does that mean also in terms of you know, broken plays? Which you know what I mean. Todd Bowles does play a very solid stay in your lane defense, so they're not gonna bite, and they have playoff experience. So it's definitely a huge game, and YBK, just to round it out real quick, how do you feel about Bucky Irving? Because I know that's been your guy. I know you know that's someone that you enjoy watching. How do you feel about his impact, and what do you think is going to be his output for the game this week?
I feel like starting from this year, Rashad White being the Bucks' main running back coming into this year, I feel like if they gave that opportunity to Bucky, but I know teams are kind of like cautious in the beginning because we don't know what this man can do, but now we've seen it. But I feel like if Bucky started off the season with our RB1, he would have had much better numbers, much more usage. But in terms of this playoffs right now, I feel like Bucky has a chance to really show himself that he can be that formidable RB1 he's been doing this season long. He can show that he can be that reliable person in this playoffs. And yeah, I feel like if he's lighting it up, they're going to definitely have a chance to beat the Commanders.
I'm
You
excited.
nailed it, David. You nailed it with saying, can Brian Robinson Jr. affect this game? Because where has he been? Like,
Yeah.
where is the RB1 that you can hand the ball off to? So I think you nailed it. That's the key for the Commanders if they want to win this game.
Yep.
Very true. Very true. The next game,
Mm,
Monday night.
mm.
Are you ready for some football?
Yes, sir.
On Monday night, we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the near and dear to us Los Angeles Rams. Listen. This was a rematch. This is going to be a rematch of week 8. It was a shootout. 30-20. Stafford threw for 4 touchdowns.
Mm.
Sam Darnold making his playoff debut. Listen, he's coming off of a big week last week, and I'm not going to lie to you, he wet the bed. I'm going to be honest. I was a little concerned always going in. I feel like I might have picked Minnesota, but I think I picked Detroit because I said Detroit gonna lose, and then I think Mikey said that Minnesota was gonna lose, but I'm nervous after seeing what Sam Darnold looked like in the red zone last week.
Mm.
Stafford, he's a Super Bowl winner. Okay, now Jet, Addison, phenomenal, but you know who's also phenomenal? Puka. And Cup.
Yes.
So, really, in my opinion, I think it's going to be about the defense. Can the defense force turnovers on either side? Okay. Can Sam Darnold shake off that I think really was his playoff debut last week, in my opinion? Going for the number 1 seed, playing against an amazing team as Detroit. I think that was his kind of playoff time. I think, can he really bounce back? Guys, how did you guys watch last game? Did you guys watch the Detroit Minnesota game last week? What is Kevin McConnell saying to Sam Darnold this week? You're the greatest. It's okay, boo boo. Don't worry, I got you. Cause he looked like he needed a blanket and a pillow. I don't know.
He definitely did. I mean, Didn't perform last week for show to get that NFC 1 seed, but I mean, Sam Darnold could definitely shake it off here. He had a lot of opportunities this season that he proved that he showed this year. But that playoff debut, as you just said, David, I mean, for me, as we talked about veteranship versus like rookie, kind of like young, new people coming to the playoffs, Stafford already been there, done that. Super Bowl champion. So, you know me with ring winners, I give them that respect. I give him that edge. Been there, done that. Round one, I feel like Rams have the edge here. I feel like yes, like Sam Darnold has to prove himself here. He has his weapons near him. We'll see. It's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a great game. Mikey, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think there's a reason why Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, are going to get interviews, particularly even though they've had some games where the Lions gave up a lot of points. They come up clutch with how many injuries they've had because they have sustained so many injuries. If they don't win the bowl, it's because of the injuries that they sustained this year. That being said, Sam Darnold had a bad game. One thing that he didn't do was turn the ball over.
True.
He didn't have a great game at all, but he didn't turn the ball over, which I think is going to be a key. I also think Aaron Jones is a little hobbled. So when Cam Akers is your leading rusher, I feel like that's an issue. We've seen Aaron Jones be a really, really like solid contributor this year for the Minnesota Vikings. When you're in the red zone, you need to be able to hand the ball off or run a screen or pitch the ball. You can't always drop back to throw it. It becomes predictable, especially when you can rush four and get pressure on the quarterback. We used to watch the Patriots do this to Sam Darnold all the time. He would be seeing ghosts. That's what everyone would say. It was seeing ghosts, seeing ghosts. He was seeing ghosts last week. He was, because there was a lot of pressure coming on him. That's also the best team in the NFL right now, right? That he lost to. So my question is, I trust the 1-2 punch of the wide receivers on the Vikings a bit more. I think that Jettis, nothing left to be said. 1,500 yards again, easy day. Maybe the best wide receiver in the league still. And Addison, since he's come back from that injury, since he was tweeting or Instagram storying about I ain't getting the ball, he's been getting the ball.
Well,
Can Cooper Kupp get involved in the game? Because we know they like to force feed Kyron Williams the ball, who, unlike some of these other running backs that we've said, James Cook, Bucky Irvin, who ran the ball 200 times for 1,200 yards, Kyron Williams ran the ball 300 times for about 1,300 yards. So you could see what Sean McVay wants to do. It was like the Todd Gurley. You want to give him touches. I just wonder if you can get someone involved. If Cooper Kupp doesn't get involved, I don't see the Rams winning the game. And I also think this is a big spot for someone who was in a huge drama a couple seasons back, Brian Flores, the former defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. Defensive play caller is what they called him. He is going to draw up something good for the Vikings this game. I'm sure of it. My gut tells me he's going to draw up something good for the Vikings this game. So,
I mean,
if the
no, sorry.
yeah, go ahead. If the Rams could get pressure on Darnold, it's going to be a tough day for him. But I think Flores is going to draw up something good.
I mean, Flores is a top defensive coordinator in the game. I think he's unbelievable. I mean, the one thing that I have to mention is that there is a change of scenery. So we were going to be playing, in LA, but we are no longer. We're actually going to be playing in Glendale, Arizona, due to the Los Angeles fires again. Shout out to the Palisades. We'll give our love to them. I think that makes a big difference, guys. Like, I think that makes a tremendous difference. I think we were excited for the Rams to be in the playoffs again, being in LA. I think two, you got people's houses have burnt down. I think there's a lot of people's mentality that are just not here. And it's either going to be we're not here and we're going to just, we got to do what we got to do and focus on bigger things, or it's going to be, hey, we're playing for our families. Let's kind of get this done. I really don't see, as much as I do love the LA spirit, I think these guys care about their families a little bit more and want to get home to their families and figure out what's happening. I think it's Sam Darnold's year. Again, if he's seeing ghosts, are we backing up the Brinks truck? Excuse me. That's really after this game we're really gonna be setting down. I think a lot of people, everybody, the betting crew, I think Vegas, that whole NFL, I think, is looking forward to this game because it's really gonna see is Sam Darnold elite or was last week, the shoe that was supposed to drop a few weeks ago.
I
Why
feel
became
like
one?
I
Yeah.
feel like I wanna bring up one thing about the coaches. Kevin O'Connell, Vikings head coach, was Sean McVay's offensive coordinator in 2020 when they won the Super Bowl.
Mm,
So I feel like Kevin O'Connell knows McVay and vice versa. So this matchup is gonna be very. I feel like it's their minds. I feel like since you worked with the coach, vice versa, both sides getting the chip. Really, you guys have that relationship where we don't know, only they know. So I feel like it's gonna be very, very juicy in this matchup here, because I mean, it's like you get the chip and you go to a team to lead, right? So it's like, all right, McVay, this is what I can do now. So it's a pretty cool moment to see as well in this matchup here, the Vikings and the Rams.
I
true.
think that you made a good point, David, by pointing out that it makes a big difference to not be playing at home. I think that that can't be overstated. Not only that, it's did some people lose their homes?
Right.
Did there's a bigger life issue going on that I think might distract you from the game.
Mm,
Um, it's very interesting. I think that that actually benefits the Vikings. It does. That situation benefits the Vikings because now you're playing at a neutral site.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an important one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting game. I think a lot of emotions. Um, you know, the I don't really see a high scoring. If these two guys know each other offensively, they're gonna know what's coming. So
Definitely.
I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that we get a rematch. Like that Quinn was saying. Sorry, Campbell was saying. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's what I'm hoping for. That's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping for.
I,
So
I I will say this as well. I think we give the Rams respect for their previous success, and I think that maybe we're also still have this lingering hangover from that game they beat the Bills when they played at home and they
Right.
won 44 to
40.
42 in a shootout.
Hmm.
The next three games that followed that was a 12-6 win over San Francisco, a 19-9 win over the New York Jets, and then a 13-9 win over Arizona.
Ooh.
So let's not pretend that the offense is what brought them. That's three games. They lost their last game of the season, but that's because they were already punched their ticket. They already won the division.
right.
The last three wins they have is because the defense held the opposing team to less than 10 points. That's the truth. The Rams are the lowest scoring offense in the playoffs this year, 21 points a game.
Wow.
Mm,
So it's almost like that flies under the radar because we look at McVay as like an offensive genius. That's what he was, like a gadgety motions in the backfield, where it's the defense that's key. And I think we talked about Jared Verse, who's defensive rookie of the year candidate there. It's going to come down to those sort of guys.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Mm. We got a lot of big games. A lot of big games this week.
Huge.
I need to know, okay, because we've been talking about them. Okay, we've been talking about each game, who playing. What are the predictions? Okay, who is taking it home game by game? Give me a score. What are we doing? Let's start with the top with the AFC. YBK.
All
Where we
right.
go?
All right. We're gonna start off Chargers Texans. Let's go. Okay. All right. Let's do it, guys. I can't believe it's already this time of the year. It's gonna be a great playoffs, but right now I'm gonna start it off. Chargers winning 26-20 against
Mm,
the Texans.
okay, 26-20.
26-20 Chargers.
Okay, Michael John. What we thinking, Playboy? What we thinking?
all right, this is the one I think one of the few that we're going to differ on. I know that the Chargers are favored and this is the hot pick of the week, but my gut tells me this is gonna be a Texans win. I know they've had a bad year so far. I'm calling it a super close Texans win here. I'm
Okay.
gonna say 23 for the Texans, and we're gonna say 21 for the Chargers
Wow.
here. So I'm gonna go Texans. I just
Sheesh.
feel like if there's one game that I can differ that's going to be a close game. The hot pick is the Chargers. I feel something about the Texans. My instinct tells me that.
Okay.
Joe Mixon.
Okay.
McDonald.
All right.
All right, David, what you got? What you got?
You know, your boy, Mr. Club Paradise. Let's see. I'm thinking. I think the Chargers take this 30
Ooh,
to 17.
damn.
I think Harbaugh just does a doozy on a depleted CJ Stroud
My
team.
brother.
And that's just how I feel. And to go back to back, just so you know what I mean, I'm not just letting everybody go first with their picks. We're gonna start with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm telling you right now, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, put your money on the flow. We about to get it. Them boys are running at least for a touchdown apiece. Mark Andrews might catch 8 balls, but you know, if you want to put somebody on fire move to catch it and have a nice big game, don't be surprised either. And Justin Fields might run for a touchdown. Might happen. But I'm thinking a 44-17, maybe 24 type game for that Baltimore Ravens Pittsburgh game. I think the doors just blow off in the second half.
Damn, bro.
Damn.
What I'm thinking. I'm
That's
thinking
nuts.
they blow off in the second half. I think Jackson just go crazy. Let him know.
Okay.
Action Jackson.
Okay. All right. Steelers, Ravens. I mean, this one, I said damn on when David said his score, but I'm going Ravens here too. We're going 42-21. Ravens, baby.
Okay.
They taking it. Michael Jones, what you got?
You guys are super generous super generous here. I'm definitely going to take the Ravens. That's for sure. But I'm going to revert back to us saying earlier that I think that the line was a bit big by saying 9-point favorites for the Ravens. So I'm going to go 24-20 Baltimore.
Oh, 24-20 Baltimore. Okay.
24-20.
All right. I mean, we got the full three vote Ravens over here in this matchup. Go to the Broncos, Bills, guys. Let's get it. I'll start it off.
Set this one off
you want to set it
because
off? All right.
Y'all already know
You already
who I'm going to go with. And this one, I do think that there might be a spread covered. I'm going to go 30-20 for Buffalo on this game.
20 Buffalo. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bo Nix is my boy. And I think it's going to be an amazing game for him. I think he's going to really show that he is a top playoff contender. But I see 31-38 Bills in overtime.
38-31 Bills OT.
Or 30. Yeah, I see 31-38 Bills OT.
Wow.
That's what I'm thinking. Or 36 or 37. 30, you know what I mean? Because of OT, they're gonna hit that 6 points and call it a day. But I think it's gonna be an overtime game. I think the Bills storm back and they take this over. And everybody's really questioning, is Josh Allen the true MVP if he could barely get through Bo Nix?
All right. I like that. All right, guys, I'm going crazy on this one. I'm going 42-10. Domination. What? Bills Mafia dominating the Broncos this weekend. Let's get it.
Okay.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be at Buffalo, too, so Broncos better get their little North Face jackets or, some jacket on because it's going to be chilly over here. You know what I'm saying?
There's snow in Baltimore. I mean, there's snow in Denver. Don't worry about that. There's snow in Denver. There's some skiing.
But that Buffalo cold is different. That's different. Different.
All right, we got the next game. You know, YBK, you up next.
All right, we already know
the NFC.
The first NFC game playing Packers at Lincoln Financial against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going 32-17 Eagles winning, baby. You already know it's going to be an easy win. Not easy, but just a great traditional game of football. Let's go.
Okay. I can definitely follow that up. I think the Eagles take this 34-10.
Ooh.
I'm not seeing the Packers being able to move the ball well in that Philly cold, the way that Philly's playing on that defense. I think Jordan Love gets out in the first quarter, and I think it's just going to be one of those games where the Packers are just not able to play.
David, you got some crazy scores. You got some big blowouts.
I think it's going to be 30 points was the average last week in the divisional, and there was only one game that was close. So, you know what I mean? And so, in my opinion, I think it's going to be blowouts, and there's only going to be one real close game, which I think is going to be the Bills game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I got the Eagles here 27-20.
Oh,
I
on a
feel like the
touchdown.
Packers could win this game. I just think that the Eagles have a little bit more on the line, and they didn't falter down the stretch this year like they did last year. So well rested Saquon, well rested offensive line, young Bucks in that secondary, Jalen Hurts coming back. I think they're good to go.
Yes, sir.
Here, I'll start off this next one too because I think that this is the one other game that I feel like we might have some difference here.
Okay.
I think that this is going to be a close game. I think that we're expecting, if there was a high scoring game I expected, it was probably this one. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the Bucks are going to get this game. I think it's a close game. I think the Bucks win 33-27
Wow.
with Jaden Daniels having a chance to take the Commanders down the field for a playoff win on the road, but not being able to get that game-winning drive. But I do feel like this is a fun game right here.
Listen, I think you're giving the Bucks too much credit. I think the Bucks are a depleted team.
Oh.
I'm really nervous about them offensively. I was nervous about how they looked last week against the Saints. Jaden Daniels and Ritter are not the same quarterback. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. So, I think Washington pulls out a 34-20 game.
Wow.
Aaron, I do think it's going to be a pick six situation with Baker where, he's on his way to, maybe tie the game up with a 2-minute drill. And I think he just picks that and that's it. That's it.
Damn. All right. Damn. 34-20 Commanders. I'm going the other way, but it's going to be close. I'm going 28-27 Bucks are going to beat this Washington team.
Okay.
All right. We got one more, guys. One more. David, you want to start it off? This is your matchup. Who you got?
I mean, I really have drank the Sam Darnold Kool-Aid for a while, and I'm big into storylines. I just want to see him play Detroit one more time. I want to see what Sam Darnold could do. I think, like I said, I think the Rams are playing with house money. They have already, done more than what we thought they were going to do in terms of a rebuilding year. So I'm seeing a 30-17 Minnesota. I think Minnesota just takes that just because I just don't see it. I think the Rams are too occupied. There's a lot of things going on in LA, guys, if you're not here. And for our LA listeners, please, I know I have a lot of friends, family, partners who are displaced. So please be safe. Please get safe. Please be safe. And I think that's where the Rams' heads are at. They're not trying to worry about no football. We already got paid.
All right. I'm gonna go next. So I'm gonna go. It's gonna be a it's gonna be a shootout here. I'm going 34-27 Rams. It's gonna be a shootout though on both sides.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, to round it out here, I'm gonna continue to drink the Kool-Aid, David. I've made my bed. I'm laying it. I've been a man of conviction with my picks this year, and I feel like if I turn my back on Mr. Darnold now, it would be a disservice to myself. I would really love to see, like you said, a Vikings rematch with the Lions. Ultimately, I'd love to see Buffalo Bills and Minnesota Vikings in that Super Bowl. I'm going to go 28-21 Minnesota Vikings. I think that this is a game where we see some passing touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
love it.
Sir. I love these predictions, guys. These playoffs are coming
So
tomorrow.
it looks like we're all on the same page for Ravens, Bills, and Eagles, right?
Yep.
I'm the lone dissenter. I got the Texans. Y'all got the Chargers. David's the lone dissenter. You got the Commanders. Me and Sam got the Bucks. And then lastly, Sam is the last dissenter.
This is
He's got the
interesting.
Rams. And we've got the Vikings,
You got the
Camden. So
Vikings.
this is gonna be fun, y'all. I'm really excited because after this game, this six slate, we got a nice little light 6-pack, and we'll be able to come back with y'all for this divisional round for our next episode. But I think that this has been a really fun night to talk about these playoff predictions, y'all. I don't know if y'all have any last thoughts because I feel like we really just did that right there.
Listen, it was the night before the divisional, and MSD Sports gave their predictions of what's going to go. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy. I just feel like it's going to be a great weekend. I think playoff weekend is always a magical weekend for a lot of teams and for a lot of just fan bases. So I'm just excited. I'm really happy to kind of text you guys throughout the weekend and see if you guys are watching the games and seeing what our predictions look like. And just for a couple little things, if you want to hit your boy up on the IG for the parlays this weekend, hit me up tonight. Cause I tell you right now, I got some breweries cooking, and MSD Sports boys will let you know how we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tomorrow we got the NFL wild card round. First game starts Chargers Texans 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and then we got the Steelers Ravens at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. All right, guys. RCR Presents MSD Sports. You got your boy Sam, aka YBK. You got Mike and Michael John. You got Mr. Club Paradise, Camden, and that's MSD Sports, y'all. We'll see you next time on the pod, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. We on Apple Podcasts, we on Spotify, we on YouTube at RCR MSD Sports, y'all. We want to say peace.
Peace.